Dart skill presents equivalent fractions. Imagine you have a circular pizza and you want to eat half of this pizza. So you take out a knife and cut it right through the center, and if you eat any one of the two pieces, let's say this one, you will have eaten half the pizza. So the fraction of this circle that's shaded is 1/2. Imagine on another day, you have another pizza of the same size that has already been cut into 4 equal pieces. If you want to eat the same amount as the previous day, that is 1/2 of the whole, you're going to eat all of this. So you will have eaten 1, 2 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So the fraction shaded on this circle is 2 out of 4 or 2/4. But that's exactly the same amount as this one. And therefore, that leads us to conclude that the fraction 1/2 is exactly the same as the fraction 2/4. Let's have another pizza of the same size. And let's now cut this into 6 equal pieces. And then if you want to eat the same amount as the previous two, you will need to eat all of this and this and this. So then you will have eaten 1, 2, 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 pieces. So that's 3/6. But the picture tells us that this is exactly equal to 1/2 of the pizza, same as the previous two amounts. So we could say 3/6 is the same as 1/2 or 2/4. And they are called equivalent fractions. Equivalent fractions are fractions that have got different numerators and different denominators but have the same value, 1/2 in this case. And given any fraction, you can always find another fraction that's equivalent to it by simply multiplying the numerator and the denominator with the same number. So if you think about this fraction 1/2, and if you multiply the numerator 1 and the denominator 2 with 2, you have a 1 times 2, that's a 2 on the top, and 2 times 2, that's a 4 on the bottom. And that's this fraction. Or if you multiply 1/2, the numerator and the denominator with 3, you get this one. As long as this number that you're multiplying with is same on both the numerator and the denominator, the new fraction that you get is equivalent to this one. And obviously, because you're free to choose any number that you can multiply with, a fraction can have an infinite number of equivalent fractions. So if I were to ask you, let's say 3/4 is equivalent to something over 16, and that's equivalent to, let's say, something over 44, how can you find this and this numerator out? Well, in an equivalent fraction, you got to multiply the numerator and the denominator with the same number. And therefore, between 4 and 16, the two numbers given, if you multiply 4 with 4, you get 16. So in order to keep the fraction equivalent to 3/4, this one, you have to multiply 3 with 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 3/4 is equivalent to 12/16. But 16 times nothing is 44. So what do you multiply 12 with? Well, if you look at this 4 again, 4 times 11 is 44. And therefore, if you multiply 3 with 11, you get 33. 33 over 44 is equivalent to 3/4. And also equivalent to 12/16. They're all equivalent. Similarly, if we want to do, let's say, 5/8 is equivalent to something over 24, we need to find this numerator out, and that's equivalent to 45 over something. We need to find this denominator out, so that the three fractions are equivalent to each other. The way to go about is figure out that 8 times 3 is going to give you 24. So always start working with the numerator or the denominator, whichever is given. Because 8 times 3 is 24, you got to multiply 5 with 3 as well to keep the fraction equivalent, and therefore this is 15. So 5/8 is equivalent to 15 24ths, and similarly if you multiply 15 with 3 you get 45, and therefore 24 needs to be multiplied with 3 as well, and that's 72. 45 over 72, 15 over 24, 5/8, they're all equivalent fractions. They're like siblings.